Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall from Simpler Trading with the nightly market update for Wednesday, August the 14th. And I know you're going to be shocked, but we actually had some red on the chart today. Um, a massive 16 point sell off in the S&P, and I'm joking because we're up several hundred points off the last low. So this looks pretty bad. Well, let's jump in and I'll show you what I'm thinking here on the S&P because that's, I've got the ES up here. That's the most broad representation of the market. So let's jump in and take a look. So today we had Powell speaking at 12 o'clock. I believe it was at 12 o'clock right there, and things kind of got worse. I'm not sure what happened here, but ironically or coincidentally, Coinbase started trading today. Let me show you this. If you didn't see the IPO for Coinbase, and so right there, this is the after hours. Here is the market, and this is when I think it started trading. Yeah, here. So opened here. You can see down here on the timestamp. It's about 12:20, and hit 429. I don't know what the actual IPO price was. I don't know. I don't even know what it was. Typically, or when ones go like this, they're priced at 20 bucks or 50 bucks or whatever, and then they open up at 300, 400, whatever. But anyway, and then immediately got sold. Sold all the way down to 310. That's a long way down in couple of hours, and then kind of flatlined here. Now I don't know what'll happen tomorrow with that. That might, yeah, it may take off. I don't know. I was actually considering buying some, but I was reading that the projection was going to be about 200 bucks, and then it went to 250, and then it went to 350, and I said, you know what, I'm out. I will wait and take my chances later on it. But anyway, so check this out. So this happened. This sell-off happened at 12:30, and started happening at 12:30, and here is 12:30 right there. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, why would that make a difference? And possibly, I don't know that this is it, but possibly people were selling to get into that, or that was such a hugely anticipated IPO because of Bitcoin and all that stuff that when it started really selling hard, people started ditching it because they thought that the market was going to crash or something. I guess I don't know. You can read a lot into it, but I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. But I just want to kind of give everybody a time reference on here, as you can see here. There, you see down here, the timestamp at the bottom, right there, 12:26. That's kind of about when it started selling. Boom, 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 and then we just kind of free fell. This is the Nasdaq. But anyway, so let's check this out and see if we can make heads or tails of it. Because if you watched last week's video, I've been telling everyone I've been bearish. I mean, excuse me, I've been bullish on the S&P the whole time up here, saying buy the dips, buy the dips, buy the dips. And up here, once we crossed that fire line, I said, okay, time to maybe take some chips off the table. Maybe this has gone a little too much, because every indicator that I have, every signal that I have is flashing red. We're extended, all that kind of stuff. Talked about that in last week's video. Not that I want to short this thing and get all bearish and think we're going to do this. I don't think that at all, but I think we could have one of these kind of retracements easily. That puts us down into maybe a skyline down here at 4,000, or maybe down here. I don't know. It's harder to predict now, or even estimate, because we are going into earnings season. Tomorrow is actually the official kickoff of earnings season, even though we started reporting today with JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and some others. I think Wells Fargo, I believe. But anyway, it'll be about 2 weeks before all the big tech names start reporting, and that, should drive us higher. So if we pull back, is it going to be a short and shallow, or is it going to be deeper? And the answer is nobody knows. And just I do think this quarter's earnings are getting a little hype, a little too much hype, honestly, in my opinion. So yes, they will probably be good and they'll break all the records and all that kind of stuff. But the forward guidance might say we're going back to normalize a little more normalized earnings, etc. Um, and we'll see as we get into it. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but um, if we continue to keep going on the same trajectory, I'm going to be very uh, nervous and leery of one or two of the biggies, Apple or Amazon or Google or somebody missing earnings. That could really, kind of take us down. But anyway, let's zoom in here. So as we can see, off this low down here, we almost get to the snow line down here, 38.45, and now we're at 41.42. Again, it's just overdone on the upside. So let me come back down here to a 10-day chart, and I would think now maybe this will be neat and orderly, and we'll come back down here and we'll just kind of keep going, and that'll be great, and everything will be great. If we break and start going lower, you got to be very careful here because everybody will have stops down here. We hit those stops, take them out, and then you'll start hitting those stops, and it turns into that waterfalling kind of effect on the way down. It could accelerate very quickly. And what I really want to point out about today, so this is a 10-day chart, and you can see it's just been, really, really, really straight up. But today, and again, this is the ES, this shows you how vulnerable we are to the downside. When you get stretched so thin, the rubber band only can go so far, right? And when it gets stretched so thin, one little bitty, bit of bad news gives you this kind of, this kind of stuff. And so be ready, be ready for those kind of flushes. But at this same time, let me show you a chart here if I can find it. Okay, so here's the ES on a 120-minute chart. At the same time, look at this. I mean, when we do come down, we're at 41.20 right now. There is this is a 120-minute chart, so take that for what it is. But that's a 2-hour chart. Lots of support under us. So we may bounce tomorrow. This might be the selling, and again, it's only 16 points. This may be it. We may bounce and just back off to the races. Target for me right now is about 41.50 on the SPX, 41.52, 53 on the ES. But again, we got lots of support under us here. Now, all that won't matter if we start clipping stops at 4100, 4075, wherever people have their stops in, and we start taking those out. This thing will slice right through that. But normally that gives you, a little pause to get through that stuff. So the bottom line on this is, if you're trading, be very nimble. We have setups on both sides of the market. I could go in tomorrow and go all in, bullish for a bounce, or I could say this is the start of the next leg down, and try to short it. The best thing to do, what I will personally probably do, is just sit on my hands and wait. There's too much confusion. This is way too messy to try to trade. It will rip your head off on either side, because I promise you that people that got long here thinking we were going to bounce got their heads ripped off, and people that got short here thinking, oh man, this is it, we're going down, they got their heads ripped off. And then these guys, we start ripping up here, and people are like, okay, the momentum's on our side, we're about to take off, let's get long here. And then you get your head ripped off here. Okay, let's see if this support holds, and that kind of, it just goes on and on and on and on. So be very careful with this market. This is a torture chamber market. It's no fun on either side, bullish or bearish, so just be careful out there. Wish I had better setups, but right now we're in the land of confusion, and there's no clear answer. There's no clear winner yet, and it makes it even, again, more difficult because we're coming into earnings, which is going to further confuse things until we get some clarity out of these primarily big name tech companies. One last thing I do see, and I said this in I think it was in the main room on Monday. I said we're likely to get a sector rotation when this thing does sell off, and the money will go into the rut. And that's exactly what happened today. If you saw this, and I was long the rut actually. Look at that, really nice run off that low yesterday. That's 70 points or something like that. So that was the only thing that was working for me today, was my long rut position. But anyway, and I think that'll continue. So again, be careful with all of this, and join us in the rooms, in the bias room for me, or in the main rooms for me and all the others. But hope this is helpful, and be careful with your sizing, and I'll see you guys at the next update. Thanks.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me